Ik ben Rutger van Loud Noise en we zijn hier vandaag op de allereerste editie van Hellmond Open Air. Ik sta hier met Gary en Jonas van Propane. Ze hebben hier net gespeeld en ik ga ze een paar vragen stellen. So hi guys, you just got done playing at our festival. How did you find playing here?
It was great. I mean, the weather I thought was pretty perfect. It was a little chilly for this time of year, so it's not very often we go on stage. We could wear our representative hoodies. It was a nice reception. Yeah. Great crowd. I don't think we could really ask for anything more. I mean, we had a shortened set because it's a little bit earlier in the day than we're used to going on. But it was great. We had a great time.
I think it was great and also really professional. Felt really comfortable on stage, and it seemed like people really enjoyed it. Also, all the feedbacks are really great, sound-wise as well. So, excellent experience so far.
I'm happy to hear that you enjoyed yourself at our festival. Yeah, the weather yesterday was a lot worse than today, so you had it quite well. So our festival slogan is "Party like it's 1993." Looking back at this time of your life, what comes to mind?
Well, the band has a lot is a lot more stable these days, I guess you could say. In the old days, it was like, you know, you're just a younger person. The band was a crazy animal back then. We were playing more than 300 shows a year. Lots of lineup changes due to various things, people going through various stages in life, and then we kind of settled in. I think even. Especially around the time when Joe joined the band in 2011, 2010, 2011, we kind of planed out, and we've been like, it's really great for me because I'm obviously quite a bit older than when we started, so it's nice to have that kind of stability in the current lineup in the band. So it's great.
And well, you weren't in Propane at the time, but maybe people want to know what were you doing back in 1993?
I was 5 years old, dude, so probably like, to stay polite, I don't know, playing in the yard. I was already in music because both my parents are musicians as well, so lucky me, I got well influenced early on. Propane was maybe not part of the discography back then, but I got into it in my early teens. Yeah, joining the band was a great opportunity and great experience, and also a band that I was listening to already. So I learned the material and I learned to appreciate the first albums of the band that I joined as well by playing the songs and by discovering their full discography and all the bands that gravitated around that scene back in the day also. It was beautiful years for the hardcore scene, I think. The heritage is still here to this day. We see it today on this festival as well with bands like Dog Eat Dog and Life of Agony, and
it takes me back too because it's not every day we get to play with bands like from our past, like my old friends from New York, you know, like the Life of Agony guys and Dog Eat Dog and Destruction too. You know, those guys. I love Schmier and the guys. You know, we've been friends for a very long time. Never played with Living Colour before, so for me it was like a big thrill. And then I was like, oh, now we have to do another show, and we're gonna miss that. So that kind of pains me a little bit today. But I met them, so that's kind of cool. So that's nice.
And like you said, life has changed, the world has changed as well. What are the biggest differences you get to experience when touring with a band?
I can already say that just the market in some ways, I mean, at least the way people consume music totally changed, and with that, it's really hard to stick out these days, I think. Maybe harder. It was already hard back in the day, but I think it's even harder these days with just the amount of bands that's out there. So in order to stay relevant, it's tricky and challenging. I think Propane does a decent job, I mean, a good job. We're still there, we're still filling holes, and we're still doing what we do best. But yeah, it's definitely, I think, more challenging from when I started in the early, like end of the 2000s already. I can see a difference from that time. I cannot even think about how it was in the early 90s, because already to get out there, if you could manage that, that would mean some sort of success already. Now, getting out there is maybe easier, but to stay there, to remain in that pool of bands that make it a little bit and can even make a living out of it, we had this discussion a lot of times. I think it's down to the 1% these days, where people can live out of music and solely out of music.
Talking about other bands, are there any bands that you are a fan of, maybe modern hardcore bands or bands that has made it in your mind that you want to shout out?
I always go back to like a lot of the older stuff. I love Foghat, and I love Steppenwolf. I love some country-inspired rock like the Eagles and Kansas, and you know, more progressive stuff like Styx. I'm a big fan of the '70s, you know, and some '80s stuff. I started getting into like new wave music in the '80s, like Elvis Costello and Squeeze and bands like that. The Pretenders. While maintaining this like punk rock, hardcore fandom, also I always loved that. But I love all different kinds of music. You know, my father brought me up on big band jazz. You know, every morning when I'd wake up in the house, I heard like Benny Goodman and Glenn Gray, Chick Webb. You know, great drummer. You probably know Gene Krupa stuff. He was a. And my dad was constantly making compilation after compilation of jazz drummers, the best jazz clarinetists, you know, things like that. When you just hear that, when you're growing up as a child, you develop fundamentals of music. You know, you learn some swing, and you learn the groove.
So this festival, the organization, we kind of made this for the people that grew into adulthood during the 90s and who are all saying it used to be so much better back then. And Gary, maybe this is a question for you. How true is that?
Well, I don't think that's true. I think it's people would like that to be true. Music and rock and roll music, in a broader sense, it's about where you were at the time. Maybe when you met your girlfriend, you were at a festival, what you were listening to. Oh yeah, remember we listened. It's why people say, oh, I love their first 2 albums, whoever it is, Iron Maiden, Propane, this and that. It takes them back in time. It's nostalgia, you know? And that's why people say things like that. Is it true? I don't think so. Because you have to respect the new breed of bands coming up, and they're better than the old bands. You know, I'm hearing stuff these days. I say, wow, these guys are like insane. This kind of music is always going to be a music for young people. You know, I'm just happy to be here still, and representing this kind of music in a nostalgic way. And I was there too. That, you know, and so I'm part of the history of it. That's where I see myself, and that's where I see, you know, everything falling into place. And I don't think there's any truth in like, oh yeah, it was so much better back then, this and that. That's like old man speak.
Okay, well,
Exactly.
I'm personally very happy to hear this since I'm a bit younger.
The Get Off My Lawn Festival.
You know, maybe we should rename it next year. So we're gonna end with a short game. I'm gonna name a few things, and I would like you to name the first thing that comes to mind. Make it quick, make it short. It's okay, it's not gonna be hard. There's only 10, so I'm just curious to see what comes to mind when you hear these things. So the first one's gonna be New York hardcore.
Propane.
Life.
A 90s sitcom.
90s sitcom.
Different strokes.
Pass.
The Netherlands.
Godverdomme.
Cheese.
Cheese.
Crumbsuckers.
Crazy.
Kick-ass.
Best hardcore album.
Victim in Pain, Agnostic Front.
I would go Contents Under Pressure.
All right.
It's a good one.
Life of Agony.
My Heart. I'll just say love.
Inspiring, yeah. Inspiring.
All right, and a Dutch band.
Textures?
I'm sorry, why am I drawing a blank on a Dutch band?
It's all right. It's a small country, anyways.
The 3-piece death metal band from the big tall guys.
They're all tall here.
All right, we're gonna go. All right, so we're gonna go with Backfire.
Oh yeah, great. Awesome, yes.
And I see you're pouring a beer. Favorite beer?
My favorite beer in the world, Calusa Citronius Hazy IPA, Sarasota, Florida.
Sounds interesting.
Triple Carmelite from Belgium.
That's a very good pick. And then thrash metal.
Thrash metal.
Thrash metal. Exodus.
Destruction.
Okay, fair picks. And last but not least, propane.
I already used life.
Fun.
Old.
You hear it, guys? Propane. They're old, but it's still fun. That was the interview. Thank you very much, guys. I hope you enjoy yourself today.
Thank you so much. Been a pleasure. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.